Mm-hmm.
Tom
Mm-hmm.
Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Holla.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Baby, you're
Yes,
Which brings
indeed.
Cheerz to the
We got a
real.
new
Good vibes
episode.
only.
This is Mr.
Putting
Tom
in work
Brody.
and
You
recipes to
just
the
logged into the
homie.
Cheers of the
Yeah,
Real
always the murder.
podcast.
Hood
Blasting
crew.
off. It's art, it's music, it's culture. Real New York underground culture, that is. We got a special guest. Special guest.
Peace, peace, peace.
Introduce yourself to the people, my brother.
You already know OJ1 FYC in the house.
Major waves right now, man. Let's break it down for people who probably aren't in tune to graffiti or aren't in tune to New York for that matter. Let's give them a little breakdown of, why you got you on the platform. And, because people kind of know the platform itself is designed really to support underground culture and give people their flowers.
Word.
And, I want to showcase your story and what you're about.
First off, I want to say thank you for having me up here. It's a pleasure.
Of course, my brother. Of course.
Always love working with you. Good energy, good vibes.
Absolutely.
And that's what anything in life is about.
Absolutely.
Finding the right frequencies.
Yes, sir.
So for those who don't know, most do. I'm OJ1 FYC crew. I've been doing graffiti since 1986. I'm here now, almost 37 years later. And within that time frame, I've done a lot of different things, been into a lot of different things, been through a lot of things in life.
Amen.
With anything you do in a craft and you have that much time in, you should have it perfected. You should have some kind of accomplishments. That's just automatic.
Facts. Facts.
Michael Jordan didn't play basketball for umpteen years to be
Listen,
nobody.
People like the accolades. You need the accolades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's go through it, because when we say graffiti, graffiti has kind of spun into this pop culture idea. So there's many realms of graffiti, but you're throwing that 80s out there. So let's let them know the energy of the 80s and graffiti of the 80s and 90s and how that kind of works.
Well, for the most part, graffiti for me was an escape from a bad childhood and a bad life. I don't really want to go too much into that. I've beat that with a dead horse.
Right.
But the most important thing is you need to have an outlet in life.
Right.
You need to be able to express yourself. You need to be able to, when you're having a bad day, get rid of that energy. And from an early age, graffiti did that for me.
It definitely has a rebellious spirit, graffiti.
Graffiti activates them endorphins in your head, and those same things, like, I always say people smoke crack, people drink, people do drugs to escape their problems. Graffiti is one of those things.
Absolutely.
Graffiti is bad in the sense of doing drugs, but the difference is the graffiti can be spun into a positive place as well.
Right.
So, like, the graffiti is a double-edged sword.
Right.
The graffiti lets you escape reality, take you away from them bad moments.
For sure.
For me, it also erases all the physical pain in my body.
For sure.
Listen, we ain't young anymore, man.
Amen. Amen.
And with that age comes a lot of body aches and,
That's right.
pains and arthritis and whatever issues you have.
Of course.
And like, I struggle to get out of bed every day and go to work because my body hurts. But the moment that I pick up that can of paint and hit the streets and I'm out painting, all that shit don't exist anymore.
For sure.
It allows me to climb the fences and run in the tracks and jump in the highways and do all that stuff.
Let's hone into that energy. So when we're going back into the root, what's the foundation? What inspires one to get into graph, and how you even get into it?
Well, for everybody, it's different. I can only tell my story.
Right.
1986, I was coming back from a bad environment of foster care, living with my mother, and things started to kind of somewhat be normal and be good. And then shortly after that, she started slipping back into drugs and stuff. And the exact moment was I was in third grade, going on a field trip, and we got on the subway. At that point, I'd never been on the subway in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, walked down the stairs into the train station. Already, that was kind of exciting for me.
Well, back then, that's the Terror Dome back then.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
different
yeah.
whole different feel.
I never been down into the subway system.
Right.
So it was like,
Right.
exploring the unknown. And then when that train pulled in the station with all the graffiti, I had
Glorious.
I don't know, it was just mesmerizing, and I just knew that I wanted to be a part of that.
Right.
And then back then, everybody, even if you didn't write graffiti, everybody had a tag, something ski or whatever. And in the little playground where you hung out, people wrote their names. And I met a lot of local dudes. My neighborhood was CM territory. So, like, some of the first dudes that I met was Sept, CM, and Niso, CM,
No
and
doubt, no
Kev,
doubt.
CM, and all of them. And that's
Shout it out.
ultimately what started me on my way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I used to hang out in the Freedom Tunnels, and then I just started meeting a lot of other different people.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Chama WKS, Part TDS. I met them down there. And that's kind of fresh to come 360, 30-something
Absolutely.
years later for
Absolutely.
them to see me now where I'm at
Absolutely.
when they met me as a little kid,
The history is real, brother. The history is real.
Yeah.
And taking it to that history, I think, for people that have never been to New York, you got to understand that the 80s, even the 70s for that matter, it was just New York had a different energy, different feel, and the graph scene for what it is was a dangerous hobby, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of bloodshed over graffiti back in the days.
I'm a firm believer. I always say, listen, you could be a great B-boy, you could be a great MC, but graph heads, as far as in the hip-hop realm, graph heads is a certain amount of commitment, and they don't get their flowers,
Shit, I think it's more commitment than most.
Facts.
Like, one ill thing that I think about all the time, even from back then, like, you drive by and you look at spots and you try to figure out how to get in the spot, right? Like, the spot got razor wire and you got to climb over this shit and make it through this obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
And what's all of that put there for? For the security of the building, for people not to break in, for people not to take shit
For sure.
and come off some kind of monetary value.
For sure.
But here we are, idiots, risking our life, climbing over that fence and breaking in, risking.
That's the thrill of it, right?
Yo, just to write your fucking name and not take anything and not come away with anything.
Yeah.
And leave.
Like, I know heads,
You know?
mutual friends, committed to graph that say, listen, the legal end, they look at it and they kind of smirk at it like it's kind of frowned upon as far as the culture. But listen, if you could make cash and profit and income on your label of love, regardless of how you get it, that's a blessing. So whether it's graffiti, whether it's canvases, galleries, whatever your hustle is, that's a blessing, man.
So if you would have asked me about that, how do I feel about that exact same thing you
Right.
just touched on 10 years ago, I wasn't down for that. I wasn't like, nah, I'm good, I'm okay.
As most are, Right.
But at the end of the day, we're not getting any younger.
Right.
Right? And like I said, 37 years putting this work in. Forget about me, just in general, anyone.
Yeah.
You put that much work in, you deserve some sort of recognition. You deserve
Agreed.
some sort of
Agreed.
monetary
Agreed.
return or
The,
something.
the legacy does have value.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen for you unless you go out there and do it yourself.
And that's what all, for everyone tuning in, that's all artistry across the board. Like your
Yes.
ideas, they do have value. And there are people and companies that kind of pay for that to kind of come to fruition, so to speak.
Yeah. Also, a few things. Like, one, there's a lot of people out there. Like, I used to be like, yo, damn, why this dude so-and-so from out of town, why is he getting so much airplane? He's in this, and this.
Right.
And then I had to sit back and think, well, what did I do for myself to put myself in that same position?
Correct.
And
Correct.
the
Correct.
answer was nothing.
Correct.
So when I realized that, then I stopped being mad at other people.
Right.
And
right.
then a good friend, shout out to Spot KMS,
Aight.
once said to me,
Cheers.
he was like, yo, you got to document basically what I'm saying now. You got to document your own shit. You can't depend on anybody to do the work for you.
You hit it on the head, bro.
You know what I'm
a
saying?
lot of artists and a lot of people that we
So-
know, you could have the talent. It doesn't mean you know how to kind of sell the product. And there are a lot of, whether it be graph heads or regular, just talented artists, they don't know how to kind of get into the business world and make a profit from their labor of love and their passion, you know?
Yeah.
So let's bring it on backwards. So we're in the 80s, we're cruising out of the 80s, we're getting into the 90s. I want people to understand, the body of work and how long you've been doing it and the difference between then and now. So when we're talking about the 90s and graph, by then, you're full-fledged into the culture, I assume, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
You're all in at this point?
By like 91, I mean, in the early 90s, I didn't really leave Manhattan too much.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand, in the early 90s, a lot of people didn't really leave their neighborhood or their borough too much.
That's true.
People were kind of isolated. Like, was it like you called people up and they had a car, you'll come pick me up?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, if you went bombing, that shit was on foot. You took the train. You put the work in. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
And then being that young and not knowing... another thing was you don't go to neighborhoods you're not supposed to.
Danger.
Then. Yes.
Danger.
You get robbed, you get beat up.
Bro.
All kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of times, if you was from Manhattan, you didn't know people from Brooklyn. If you was Brooklyn, you didn't know people. You just didn't know people from other boroughs unless you had already made that connection. And then when you made that connection, then that's when you start moving around.
Right.
So, not until later on in life, hanging out in DeVille and West
The
Fourth.
infamous. Yo, Dave, lower the volume on the music a little bit.
With West Fourth,
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with RFC.
Shout out.
RFC is one of the illest conglomerates ever.
I
could
agree on that one.
You had people from Staten Island, Brooklyn, Bronx.
It was definitely
Manhattan,
an all-city collective.
Queens,
Yes.
and we all formed like Voltron and just made one big family. And that's when things started taking on more of a life and venturing out into other boroughs. And I remember like ESO, RFC, he lived in Bushwick, going to Bushwick for the first time, right? And he was like, yo, come chill in my house. And it was a gang of us, and we went to his house. And the nigga had to climb up the fire escape to get into the house. And the shit was just nuts. It's like, yo, where the fuck am I? Like, what's going on right now, Or chilling with KGB, a lot of times riding the last car of the train, fucking smoking L's and throwing parties and, shout out to near R.I.P. KGB, one of the realest ever,
No doubt.
L. Sear, the whole KGB mob,
And again, it goes back to what we said a minute ago, but there's so many talented people that put the work in and never get their flowers, whether it be in the graph game and hip-hop. There are a lot of people that love the culture, they put the work in, and it's never really about the monetary. They just love the bomb, or they love the rhyme, or they love to make beats, and they love the culture generally,
Well, that's what you need first and foremost to make a pure product, for it to be genuine and for it to take on a life of itself and to hold that monetary value.
That's right.
If it's not done from the heart and it's not done first because you truly love it, then it really ain't worth shit.
And that's where even myself and a lot of other people, that's where you kind of fuck up. You're confusing the business end with the art end, which is why I always love graph heads, because it's like they're just out there to just bomb, like straight devastating bomb shit, and I love it. So yeah, the 90s, I agree. If you're not a native New Yorker, you probably can't relate to the convo in a certain sense, but trust me when I tell you, the energy was different. It was different. A train ride to different neighborhoods could be a health risk. You know what I mean?
Yo, walking down the street, anything was a health risk. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Even in Manhattan.
For real. Let me get your opinion. I was talking to a friend and he made a comment. He happens to be more on the punk rock end, and he said that graffiti itself from the root doesn't really stem from hip hop. It stems more from the punk kind of scene.
I can't say if that's true or not, but what I will say is graffiti stems from all of those cultures.
Facts.
Evenly.
No doubt.
Because you had ill white boys, down with the whole CBGB movement that did graffiti.
With the anarchy symbols everywhere.
You had dudes from the Bronx, K-Slay and all of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got like Beastie Boys, which is, it's hip-hop, but it's also a little bit different. Like,
they're dope.
See, that's the one thing about graffiti. It crossed all genres. Everything. That's why, like, a lot of people got along, because it didn't matter if you was black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, Haitian, whatever. All that shit just dissolved away. You was just a graffiti writer. we was all one. We were all equal in a sense.
Graffiti always had a bad. It always gets unlike the other art forms. Graffiti always gets a bad rep, where you're bringing down the home or the real estate value, or it's looked as a subculture, but it's kind of downplayed in the value of
Well,
it.
but let's admit it. Graffiti is fucking destructive.
It is.
It is super destructive.
It is.
And especially for people who don't have any values writing graffiti and it will just write on anything. You know what I'm saying?
Funny you say that.
So it holds the ill stigmatism. Nobody looks at bombing actual graffiti and says, "Oh, that's a positive thing. Go out and do it."
do the rules still apply? Like, I know there are certain golden rules, right? Let's how about touch up on some of the golden rules in graffiti?
I would love to hear what you call golden rules, and then I'll touch on it.
I would say maybe no churches.
Oh, yeah, shit like that. Yeah, of course. You're never supposed to write on churches, private houses, things of the nature. You know, like fucking public shit.
Private houses, fucking,
gates,
come on, man.
Public buildings,
right.
The subway system, the highway system, garbage trucks, regular. The only real private thing would be trucks. You know, but most of those
that
trucks,
was big in the 90s too, right? Trucks?
It's still big now. It's still a big thing now. You know what I'm saying?
That's one thing as native New Yorkers, we saw how once bombing on the trains was done away, street bombing and the boxcars and the trucks became fucking...
You know what's something ill that I see now? I see people bombing U.S. post office trucks.
That's dope.
For me, that's a little mind-boggling because, listen, are you going to get caught? Is something really going to come of it? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if someone wanted to press the issue, that's a real federal offense.
Right.
There's some big charges that could be attached to that. And I would think that was something that was kind of taboo, but like, I walk around in all the boroughs and I just see the fucking post office truck smashed the fuck out. Most of the time, you see it smashed out with a lot of toy shit.
Yeah,
I guess because they don't know any better.
For sure.
But that shit trips me out because that wasn't something. Usually, if you hit the post office truck, that shit got buffed right away. That just goes to show you.
I guess every state has their niche. Like when you go out of state, the highways and freeways are huge. You know, out in Cali and the freeways are like, whoa.
Well, also like
heavy.
They're bomb heavy because like
that's their way of what else you're gonna hit.
Yeah, what do you have to paint out there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the box rail cars. That's about it.
Yeah.
But so now we touching on the 90s. We're all in now. As someone myself who has a lot of graffiti ties, I will say, where does graffiti at a certain point inflict with, it is a crime. So at what point do we touch in this, in the situation where we're getting arrested for graff, and because obviously, getting back for graffiti can fuck your life up.
Yes, especially starting with Giuliani.
Yeah, he cleaned shit up quick. He wasn't playing games.
Giuliani was going after everybody.
He cleaned up the mob. He cleaned up the smokers.
Going after the toys. Everybody. And then Bloomberg took it a step further because of real estate. He looked at it as a money thing, not necessarily as a quality of life thing.
Right.
So Bloomberg wasn't playing that. So in those two eras, if you wrote graffiti, you really had to watch yourself.
Right.
And then de Blasio came. Shout out to the white David Dinkins. He didn't give a fuck about anything, really. And shit became more lax. The buff kind of stopped.
He was super laxed.
And then all of a sudden, the fucking pandemic hit, and it just became a fucking free-for-all.
It was a free-for-all. And I definitely see you got busy, my brother. You got busy. You know what I mean? You took advantage of the time. You got busy.
We all did.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And like...
Yeah.
But why we do graffiti?
Why not?
Because it's something fun to do. Like...
Yeah.
It was an easy time.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And
New York, listen, by the day, by the hour, it changes, man. And there's a certain part of me that feels nostalgic when I see Coney Island bombed with fillings. And, listen, call me what it is, but I'm a product of my environment. So when I see it, it's definitely a flashback of those, the golden era of hip hop, so to speak.
It's like mom's home cooking, bro. You know what I'm saying? That shit warms the soul,
That Brooklyn gumbo.
Soothes the mind.
Yeah. Dave, I want to bring up a clip and show him just, you could pull up anything right now. I'm going to have a quick little input. But, so,
since we're talking about Coney Island, pull up the Coney Island clip clip from the pandemic.
Oh, the trailer.
Yes.
Yes.
No. On the YouTube channel, it says COVID 21 or whatever. It's a short clip, 2 minutes
Okay.
of Coney Island, actual Coney Island.
I think he might have it. He'll post something up. But yeah, man, graffiti, dangerous, man, dangerous. And shout out to all the real graph heads. Shout out to all the people that kind of laid the foundation. To the current time. A lot of people, like I say, don't get their flowers, and this shit is built on thousands and thousands of people putting in that pain and that passion. You know what I mean?
So, if I may, real quick, this isn't the clip. There's another one that actually has like white writing, says COVID 21 or whatever. Shot of Coney Island in the background.
Yeah. But so again with graph. So what are we? I know for a fact you managed to do a gallery, which was pretty dope in Brooklyn not too long ago. How do you feel about doing that more steady pace and kind of keep that consistency going?
Well, at this point in my life, you can't just sit stagnant. If you look at a lot of people, I'll use one person in particular. If I say Todd James, you know who that person is by just saying his name.
Right.
And for those who don't know, that's Reese AOK. He's transitioned greatly into great things. He's no longer Reese. I mean, he'll always be Reese.
Right.
But now he's Todd James.
Right.
And, going down the rabbit hole in Instagram, I see that he's out in Art Basel.
Fresh.
And he's doing stuff with Pharrell for the Billionaires Boys Club.
Oh, wow.
One of a multitude of things he's touched, but that's his latest endeavor. So which brings me to say, even you with music as an artist, right? What do you think? You're going to stay here and freestyle underground for the rest of your life?
I've heard that all the time, right?
You don't inspire to do music with whoever?
Right.
That's what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a dream? I'm just going to pick random. Wouldn't it be a dream to fucking jump on a track with Wu-Tang or some shit?
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? To elevate.
How many years could you stay underground and kind of, and it's no disrespect to people, I get it, but there needs to be a bridge where you're kind of expanding the brand for bigger and better reasonings.
Or,
you know what I mean?
just in life, period.
Yeah.
Whether you're electrician at your job or you're a garbage man or ticket person.
We want to go up the ladder, not lateral.
You want to stay plateaued the rest of your life.
That's right. Amen. I agree with you.
As you get older, you're supposed to go up.
That's right.
You're supposed to, do things that are more fulfilling in life. So with that said, in my older years, I'll never fully stop hitting the streets. I will always hit the streets to the day that I die.
Mm-hmm.
But my focus at this point in life is kind of transitioning and trying to do other things. I want to, as an artist, you got to be well versed.
Well, again, and this is a testament to the work you put in. When you put in the work, you have a platform that you now can branch off and do the canvases and the galleries and everything else.
I have a platform that I created.
Correct.
Right? So I created this platform with a multitude of content over the last 37 years.
Work.
Like a body of work.
Work.
What am I going to do with this body of work?
That's right. Work.
Shout out to my man Kaz, right? You don't really see or hear of Kaz.
That's true.
And I push him all the time. I tell him all the time, like, yo, dude, you sitting on a plethora of history. Forget about graffiti, because me and Kaz come from the skateboard culture. Also from Harold Hunter. And all of them cats.
Yep.
Right? We was right. Me and Kaz was right there.
That's something I was going to bring up with you.
So what I'm saying is, Kaz is sitting on a whole plethora of photos and memorabilia, and to each his own.
Yeah.
But I feel like he should put that out there and share it with the world. It needs to be seen.
Because listen, we all know you're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah,
and as artists, we want to leave a legacy and a body of music to be enjoyed.
You die, and then what happens to that stuff?
Nothing.
Who does it go to?
It needs to be appreciated.
If you didn't direct it in the right place.
I agree with you, brother. That's a big fact.
That's culture that needs to be put out there and seen and preserved.
And again, if we don't preserve it, it's lost, and younger generations scratch their head and they don't know. And then as older guys, we throw stones and saying, how come you don't know about the history and the legends and the culture, But
so where I'm at in life, I've taken the time. If I get hundreds of questions from people that are early on in the stages of their careers where most people wouldn't even acknowledge them in the messages.
Right.
But I like to answer those messages. It feels good to be able to give them advice.
For sure,
And
bro.
with that advice, see them progress.
For sure. For
You know?
sure.
So
Listen, mentorship is everything, brother. We
Yes,
all
yes,
need,
yes.
especially us in the hood, black and brown people. I think we all need mentorship, whether it's in the art form or whether it's, being studious. We all need that. You want to get to this clip? Let's get to this clip right
so
here.
we were discussing pandemic
Yep.
and the easiness of it.
Uh-huh.
This clip showcases in the height of the pandemic, for all those that know Coney Island history,
Mm-hmm.
the man himself explained Easter Sunday for me in Coney Island.
Bro, Coney Island with the bunnies, Coney Island, bro, has its own.
Easter Sunday. How big is Easter Sunday? That's the first day it opens.
Yeah, it's huge.
Everybody's there, best dressed. That shit is
For
on
sure.
and popping.
For sure.
So in this clip, the height of the pandemic, this is early morning Easter Sunday, and the whole shit is shut down. I was able to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, it was like zombie apocalypse out there. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
lie,
yeah,
so that
yeah.
shit is scary. And in the wintertime, for those that never been to Coney always, in the winter, it's always a little creepy where it's just nothing but the skells outside at a certain hour. But around this time, it was, extra
Yo,
dead, bro.
At the start of this video, everything should be starting to open up to get Coney Island jump started and on and
Listen.
popping. And with that said, let's
Yeah.
go to the video.
Yeah, let's
tape.
get to this. Let me see this. You could press play.
If anybody's from New York, if anybody knows New York, Easter Sunday on Coney Island is popping.
Mm-hmm.
People come out in their best dress. Coney Island opens officially today for the first time. You would never be able to come out here sunrise and be able to paint these gates.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is
Getting busy.
crack of dawn, and I'm smashing gates. That's unheard of.
That's
With
unheard
all
of,
this
bro.
COVID stuff going on, it actually enhances
The iconic
being able
Wonder
to
Wheel
get
in the
out and paint
background.
with social distancing and people having to stay home.
You couldn't ask for a better backdrop.
That's a fact.
I mean, this is one of
The
the
opportunities,
wonders
the
of New
lack
York.
people outside, being able to walk
Damn, that
down
shit
the
is
street
clean
with
as a
your face
motherfucker.
covered and no one questioning that. It's kind of messed up, but sort of taking advantage of the situation. Well, I'm out here during
I mean,
this
that's what a
period, this
hustle is, right?
pandemic. I don't really see
No
too much of anything, including
No doubt.
police.
Bro.
Right now, writing graffiti is like reminiscing back to the 80s and 90s where
You heard?
you could just march down the avenue and paint everything in sight. It's like
Destroy mode.
assembly line. Cut, stamp, paste, cut, stamp, paste, cut, stamp, paste, and just keep it moving.
Yo, fire, man. Fire. Getting busy.
I mean,
It
those
just
who know
goes to
me,
show you
I like to destroy
what
shit.
this
This was a
pandemic
perfect
has
moment.
done
Yeah,
to New
man.
York City. It's put New York City to sleep.
That shit knocked us out the box.
Mm-hmm.
It's knocked us out the box.
Yo, it's so dead. It's so crazy.
Crack of
son.
dawn,
Yeah,
sun
crack
rising.
of dawn, son.
People who should be there opening their businesses right now.
Scary times in the city, brother. Scary times in the city.
It's another one of those events like 9/11.
Yeah, pretty much. It'll definitely be one of those things that you'll look back on and be like, yo, I survived, 2021, and you pat yourself on the back,
Yeah. Shout out to Marshall for giving me the opportunity to do that video.
For sure.
You
Dave, you could play one or two of the other clips that we have. You could pull them up for the background.
So since we just finished that clip,
You want to go to the other one?
During the pandemic, me and some other people, we did a lot of filming of painting in the streets while it was dead. And so recently I'm finishing up like a short documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the trailer for it. Check it
do it.
out.
Nice.
No, the box?
Bro, at this time, 42nd Street was nuts. Like Night of the Living Dead with fucking crackheads and zombies. Like, that's
Yeah.
all you saw out there.
Yeah. Smashing shit.
Just fucking total destruction, bro.
Smashing.
The cops, yo, they didn't even give a fuck, bro. They didn't even give a fuck.
Yo, they just kept it moving.
Yeah.
They was
Only
like,
thing you saw out in the street was people that wasn't supposed to be in the street doing bad things,
pretty much.
including myself.
Pretty much.
And the cops was like, yo, fuck that, we're not going near anybody. Look, right here, like 5 cops right after doing that gate back to back.
Yo, when society collapses, trust me, man. No, graffiti is the last of their problems.
Yeah.
Smashing. Uh-huh.
Just pure lawlessness
Oh, man.
out in the streets. That's all you saw. Like a fucking playground for degenerates.
I'm curious. So this is a lot of New York culture. In your opinion, what state or what country would be like the hardest to bomb?
Singapore?
Singapore.
That's my guess.
When my man got
Wasn't there
he got
years?
kanged.
Yes, exactly. And he wasn't even a graffiti writer. He just fucking did some dumb shit.
Oh man, rest in peace to Jams and Vexer.
Kes 5. Shout out to Kes 5.
Man. Shout them out, man.
All legendary in their
Hell
time,
yeah,
bro.
bro.
They all contributed big time.
Culture kings, bro.
But especially Kes 5, he one of a kind. They broke the mold when they made that dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
He can never be reproduced. You know,
He was living it. He was living it.
Yeah,
Yo, this is
yeah.
dope. Listen, like this a lot. Where are you planning on all platforms with this?
so originally it was gonna go straight to YouTube, right?
Right.
But that's kind of a waste for something so great. I feel
Agreed.
like this video, and I'm not saying it
Mhm.
because it's from me.
No, I got you.
I think I got a lot of great content, and I think I was very creative putting this all together. So I'm in the process. I'm almost done with this. I should be done with it in another couple weeks or so. Right now it's the holidays, so that kind of slows things down. But ultimately, when the project is done, I'm trying to look to have some viewings for it first.
For sure.
So people could come and see it in person and embody
Showcase
the moment,
it. Yeah, man.
enjoy it,
Yeah, man.
and get a little bit more out of it
Mhm.
instead of just sitting there, because most of the shit that's watched is from where? Your phone.
Right.
And
Right.
when you watch it from the phone, you don't really get the full effect of it.
Right. Right.
So I'm trying to make the most of everything that I do. And
you're doing a good job,
for
brother.
other people to enjoy.
You're doing a good job, bro. Legendary. Yo, Dave, I wanted to pull up one of the showcases that yeah. So again, for the audience and people listening in, you got to put the work in. You got to love what you do, and you got to believe what you do. The man is passionate. The man been putting in the work, and I just wanted to show when we were talking about making that conversion into his artistry and kind of making profit off the struggle. This is what I mean. I mean, able to sell out your gallery space and able to sell your canvases is a blessing, my brother.
So before we play this, I just want to say one thing. First and foremost, this was only possible because of you, bro.
Appreciate you, brother.
And that's 100% facts.
Appreciate you,
you
brother.
invited me to a project you did in this exact same space.
Right?
And when I discovered this space,
I was like, bro, do it. Make it happen.
spaces like this allow you to do things on your own instead of going to do a show in
Independent.
the gallery and then
Mhm.
them taxing you 50%
Correct.
and draining you of your energy.
Correct.
This space, I was able to just pay to rent it
Mm-hmm.
and then do my own thing, and whatever was made was 100% mine.
That's the art of the hustle. It's a lifestyle grind, brother.
So what's great now is if you got the content, you can do this.
Mhm.
Like, yo, music is booming because what? You can make music straight off your phone now.
For sure.
Where everybody, half my videos is either edited from the fucking iPad or my phone.
Mhm.
All my content is created by me.
Right.
not necessarily all the video filming,
But independent.
The editing, all that shit. So,
And that's a message with all artists that have come up. Again, all artists that come up, I kind of highlight their story because, listen, at the end of the day, this is motivational for someone who's 15, 16, 17, whatever. They see it, they say, you know what, there is a lane for what I do. You just got to be willing to put the goddamn work in,
so when
bro.
I came to see your show, this made me realize, like, yo, I could do this on my own. And whether it's yourself or through a gallery or whatever, to have a showcase of exclusively you.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Not easy.
It's a long process,
Yes,
and it's a major accomplishment.
Yep.
I did this just to show myself that I could do it, but also in this show.
You had a great turnout.
It shows from 1986
Yes.
all the way through the present in a chronological
Great turnout.
order.
He had an all-star cast of characters. Dave, you could play it. Just get a quick little visuals of what I mean by
my team steady rolling.
putting the work in, man.
And shout out to Fee Studios for hosting
Yeah,
this.
man. Shout out my man Fee.
Always in
Looking for
motion.
videos. Great cinematographer out in Brooklyn.
Potion.
Yeah, he's the one that shot this, obviously. Well, to you, obviously.
I was like, Fee, man, hook my man up, son. Stop playing.
He did. We're currently working on some other things
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Glad you doubt it, 'cause I've been dope. Only allowed, and if you vow into the kinfolk, it's simple. Break an oath, we leave you in permanent limbo. Yeah. Not of respect for men who used to call me kiddo. Wow, how we grown up.
I'm
now.
curious, who's the music?
Golden child foul, how they hold it
That's
down
Fee's
around, this
boy.
shit go around.
Oh, I thought it was, because I'm listening to his... Yeah, I thought it was.
I-
I know his voice.
I'm burnt with names like you.
Verbal.
Yo, don't ask
Yo,
me
shout
names
out to
of
my man Verbal.
things. Verbal Assassin.
Verbal McMahon.
Oh, Verbal McMahon.
Yeah. We actually did a show at the Arcade.
Yeah, when he gave me this back, but I was like, yo, you couldn't you nailed it. Couldn't have been any better.
Facts. Look at the history on the wall. Come on now. Artists respect artistry, man.
The only thing, like, this show should have been like a month long instead of 3 days, but
You could have. You definitely could have.
I had to pay for the time and space. That costs money.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanted to touch base. You could, Dave, you could lower the volume on the background, but you could keep playing it. I wanted to touch base on something that you mentioned that I myself, as a New Yorker, find super fucking fascinating. The Freedom Tunnels.
So, the Freedom Tunnels. For me, I grew up literally up the block from there. I grew up on 78th Street and West End Avenue. I hung out in PS 87 schoolyard, IS 44 schoolyard, you know. And literally, the Freedom Tunnels was right down the block. So,
Dave, you can mute the visuals.
So I'll give you one crazy story from then.
Of course.
You know, at that same time, one of the things I was into, I used to go to Woolman Rink and go ice skating every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was
classic.
real big into that. It was a real big scene, right? And so for Christmas one year, my mother gave me $100 to go buy ice skates. I got on the train. I jumped on the one train, 79th Street. I got all the way to Columbus Circle. I walked halfway into the park to Woolman Rink. And then I don't know what the fuck happened, bro. But I turned around and got back on the train and went back to my block. And I found one of my mother's friends. And they were all degenerates, as my mother was too. And I told them, I was like, yo, I need a favor. Take me to the hardware store and buy spray paint for me, and I'll get you a 40. Not that I really needed to give them a 40, but
okay.
You know, I kind of
incentives,
understood like
incentives.
Like, you know, how to make things.
Of
so
course.
I took that fucking $100 and I bought spray paint. And then like the next day, I'm in the house playing with the fucking spray paint like a happy kid, like I'm fucking making a
brand new
like,
toy,
like bowling pins with it
shit.
and all kind of shit. And my mother comes in the room and sees you, she's like, "What the fuck's that?" And then she realized like I spent the ice skating money on the spray paint. And boy, did she beat my ass. But I bought the paint because I had somewhere to go and use the paint.
And that being the Freedom Tunnels.
Yeah, I would. At that time, the Freedom Tunnels had a part that's no longer there. They had from 72nd Street, they had an old either exit or entrance oncoming ramp.
Chris, pull up the Freedom Tunnel
that
clip.
went on to the West Side Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, when you went around the bend, that shit was dead back there. And that's where Special Ed shot his infamous record cover.
No doubt. I'm glad you said that.
You know
no
what I'm
doubt.
saying? And yo,
Classic,
fucking
son.
fucking
Classic.
score for me because that shit solidified me. I got tags on the Special Ed record cover.
So this is like, again, you know, for people that don't know, if you're not in this realm, you probably wouldn't be here and you wouldn't know about it. But I could see this being
so
hazardous for your health.
this right here, what we're looking at is the end of the Freedom Tunnel. And for those who watch Star Wars and see Zephyr and Revolt painting
no
the
doubt,
ledge,
no doubt.
This was all open field. So on the left side was a long ledge that led to the street side. Right?
Got you.
And it was all field
Dave, you could play it.
To the water on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly where I hung out. You know what I'm saying? I really haven't been down here since the buildings have been put up.
So now I didn't know about the mold people, so I kind of pulled up this video because if you're not from New York, they're probably like, what the fuck are the mold people?
So people you're showing now, they're not the original people that was down
Correct.
there. Right?
Correct.
This Amtrak train tunnel runs under the west
But
side highway from
these are the people that
72nd Street to
these are who
125th.
my friends were. At the
Good
fucking,
point.
At the at the age of 12, 13, 10, 11.
The downtrodden of
These are
society.
the fucking people that I hung out with. I hung out with homeless people.
Right.
Because kids my age, they all rejected me because my mother was doing drugs
Right.
and getting high.
Dave, you can pause it.
So they would make fun of me. They would shit on me. They wouldn't let me play games with them.
Right.
You know, yo, kids are fucked up, man. They're horrible and they're cruel. You know what I'm saying?
So kind of to sum up that, because I wanted to educate people when they're tuning in on their platforms that, you know, there is a subculture within the subculture, and they do live underground.
Yeah,
You know, and you don't see them, but they're there.
So to touch on that, there's an old documentary. It's called Dark Days.
Dark Days.
You ever seen Dark Days?
I know of it because Kel mentioned it, but yes.
Right. So Dark Days really brings all of this into light. And that's in the late 90s at the very end of this.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go through the documentary, it shows them living down there, their day-to-day, how to get their money, right?
Crazy.
And then at the end of it, it shows them all getting put into apartments.
Oh, word?
Yeah. So there's
Fresh.
there's one dude in the middle of the documentary, meant TVS, originally Tooch 156. So for those who don't know, that is one of my oldest. That's my family. I did a lot of crazy shit with him.
Dope.
He's the one who brought me down here. He's the one who gave me the tag Ojae.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 9, 10, he would do armed robberies, and I'd be hanging out with him, and he'd be like, "Yo," while he got the dude covered with a piece, be like, "Yo, dig the nigga's pockets," and all kind of crazy. Yo, you remember Crazy? You remember the store Crazy Eddie's? Yeah. So check this out. There was a fucking there was a store called Crazy Eddie's for those who don't know.
Those that don't know.
You know, and one day this motherfucker, he's walking down the street, meant TVS. Yo, he sees the truck outside the store, the delivery truck, the fucking tractor trailer. And the motherfucker decides to jump in the truck and drive off with all the shit. Like, he just fucking bananas, bro. You know? He would show up to your house, knocking on the fucking window from the fire escape with his bike. Like,
That's it. Yo, that generation, I always admit, bro, from the 70s, and they just cut different. From the 70s and the 80s, our forefathers within the culture, whether it's graph, b-boying, or MCing, they just different, because New York was hardcore back then,
so
bro.
he chose to live down here.
Right.
He had a whole house built. He had everything except running water, so to speak, right? And then even, like right here, you can't really see it, but along the wall somewhere is like these big hitting industrial. It's like a cutout, and then you go in,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you go in to the left, there's like big metal sliding doors.
Got you,
And then it was just like an ill loft space in there,
bro.
and he fucking lived in there.
Bro.
No one ever even knew.
There is
know what I'm
something
saying?
to be said about, when you see the voiceless and you see how thousands of people are living, and you scratch your head. We're supposed to be the wealthiest country in the world, but yet there's populations of people who are barely surviving,
You know what's crazy? Not to really go off a subject, but like, and I'm not shitting on the immigrants,
right?
And the movement that's happening right now.
Right.
But like, all these people that are coming in right now and getting all this help, what about the homeless people that we already have here?
Correct.
Why are we not trying to help them?
Correct.
Not all of them homeless people are homeless by choice or fucking nuts or crazy.
Right.
There is a good amount of homeless people.
Well, even now,
You
what the city is trying to do now with people with mental issues and schizophrenia, being bipolar, I don't know how they're going to try to implement locking you up and forcing to be institutionalized based on your health. So it's a lot of sketchiness and legality with what you're going to do.
And these are all touchy situations. Right. And what I'm about to say is probably going to upset few people or whatever, but this is my opinion.
Let's do it.
Like, whether you like Eric Adams or not, these are the problems put in front of him as a mayor.
Right.
And as a mayor, you have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I can say about him, I'm not going to say whether I like him, I don't like him or whatever, but at least the guy is trying to do his job.
He is.
De Blasio just sat back and let everything fucking fall apart.
He was chilling.
And, my lady gets on the train and goes to work every day, scared for her life. She don't know if someone's going to push her in the tracks. She don't know if someone's going to stab her, slash her.
There's a lot of that.
Punch her in the head, whatever.
And you have to be mentally you have to be off to sit there and plot for no reason whatsoever.
That's what I'm
A
getting
robbery,
at.
at least I'm thinking you're getting monetary value. You're going to stick someone up,
yes.
give me your cash. You're going to push a pregnant lady into the tracks for what? What did you gain out of this?
So, like, people are screaming, do something about this, do something about this. And then when you step in and implement a plan, because it's not the nicest plan or the most gentlest, that, like, we live in this society where you got to be kinder, gentler. This country is fucking turning into pussies, bro.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Like, what the fuck?
We were talking this with mutual friends.
We're letting this young generation, like, fucking hippie love shit.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fucking ruin us.
Listen, the generations are a lot softer. We got kids now that get a trophy for coming in 10th place. Like I tell my daughter, you shouldn't get a trophy for coming in 10th place.
You get a pat on the back for a good try, but not no fucking trophy.
Maybe third place.
We're celebrating you coming in last. We're letting you know that it's okay to be last in life and be mediocre and not strive for something better.
Dave,
like, get the fuck
pull
out of here.
Pull up one of the current news clips that I want to get his opinion on as far as being a native New Yorker. So, we know the quality of life is crazy right now. I want you to watch this clip and kind of...
So, but one more thing about that whole fucking involuntarily putting people in the hospital. If the mayor doesn't do shit, you fucking screaming at him, do something.
Right.
And then no matter what he does, there's going to be a problem with it. The problem is there's too many voices and too many opinions.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, right?
Exactly.
But they're definitely going to have to allocate funds to train. If you want the cops just don't seem like the best agency to force people to be institutionalized.
9 times out of 10, the minute a police officer arrives on the scene, it's already against them. Whether they're a good
that's
cop,
a fact.
bad
That's a
cop,
fact. That's a fact.
They're not the right people.
They're not the right people
handle that shit because the stigmatism attached to them is fucked up.
Yeah. And I know working in healthcare, you have a population of people who are underrepresented, and they don't have the finances. So it's easy to say we're going to take them off the street and institutionalize them. But the reality of after, what are you doing after?
All these people complaining about this shit, like, that's inhumane, that's this.
Yep.
They're not the ones that have to deal with this shit.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's
this ain't in their neighborhood. This ain't in their everyday life. They don't see it. So it's easy for them to step back and say, that's fucked up. Why are you treating them like that?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Fucking ride the train every day to work with being in fear of your life.
Hazardous. New York is hazardous. So riding the train, we were going to say, us growing up, I rarely paid you know, as a kid and as an adult, we get a little older, we become tax-paying citizens. But I thought you would find this funny because there is a TV reporter that actually has the balls to run up on people as they're hopping, trying to expose them. So I just wanted to get your opinion on this. This is pretty funny. Yeah, you can play
If you use public transportation, obviously you're supposed to pay. But there is an epidemic across the country, people skipping out on paying their fare. And it's no small thing. As Lisa Guerrero reports,
She went underneath.
it's costing cities millions of dollars in
What a
lost
weirdo.
revenue
The
every
funny
year.
shit is the videos where
They
people
hop,
fall and bust their
They
ass.
duck. They climb.
My man is
They
off
go
balance.
through
Oh,
two
look
at a
at this
time.
one.
Anything to avoid
There you go, like a
paying the
pro.
fare.
That's a pro right there. He done it
Here
before.
in New York City, the problem has gotten so bad,
Look at this guy.
it cost $215 million in
No
lost revenue
way.
last year. Watch as this
215?
guy just leaps over the turnstile.
We just caught you jumping. Why did you
Oh,
do that,
she's
sir?
out of her
He goes
mind.
back and pays.
This is what you're supposed to do. Pay to
She
get
doesn't-
in like
Yo,
everybody
see this?
else,
Yo,
right?
see this
But
dude right
look at
here?
this. While
Why
we
is
were
he hopping
talking
the
to him,
train?
One,
What? He had
two,
It's the get over, the art of the get over. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, but he's
Four.
somebody that got
Here
money
come
that
the
could pay
five.
the
You can.
train. And at this
Six.
age, it's
Yeah,
like,
man.
emergency
Look at
door.
this shit.
This guy
It's like
pays
a
to get
circus
in,
came to town.
but
Look at
then
this.
opens the exit door, and here they come. 1, 2, 3.
As you said,
4,
these are all
5,
kids that could
6
pay.
More.
Yeah,
We're not talking about a broke population.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, we all hopped the train back in the day.
My man
'cause we
said-
couldn't afford it.
He
Some
said, "Are you
subway
cops?"
scofflaws weren't
He was like,
happy
"I'm
to
out."
see our cameras.
Yo, these people are
Excuse
lucky
me,
that
sir,
they get
did
punched
you
in the
just
face.
Look right here. Look.
Hey, get out
Yo,
my
get
face,
that,
bro.
get that
She
shit out of
lucky
here.
she didn't get punched in the fucking face for doing it.
This is on camera.
This is on camera.
Of
She's
all
like,
the
yo,
places
get
we
out of
checked,
here.
The worst problem was
Bro.
here at the crossroads of the world, New York Times Square. It's an epidemic.
So, just
Look,
wanted to
in
laugh
just
at the
2
fact of
hours,
that is
we
a hazard.
counted 84 fare evaders.
We're going to
close
tell this
to
woman,
one
I don't
per
think you should be
minute.
running up on people with the
Watch
mic
as
in your
this
hand
Yo,
like this.
and-
rolls through carrying her coffee.
And what's all
Why
of
did
this
you do
for?
that?
For her
Because I
to,
left
for her
my
to
card at
gain
home.
clout.
Others gave us
It's a
plenty of
story for her to
excuses.
get further in her career.
Right.
For her, yo, let's do something edgy. Let's do something ballsy.
Dave, you can pause it.
Simply said she didn't
Dave, pull up the other news.
Wait, before you go on,
uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Let's do it.
How do you feel with the latest with all of this shit?
Mm.
Armed guards watching people so that they don't hop the train. Like a fucking, what are they going to do? They're going to fucking shoot you for hopping the train? What's an armed, like all that money being wasted putting armed security.
You start defunding the cops,
Like-
and then you wonder why there's no cops. But then at the same time, we both know there's like a weird fine balance in society that if you get over policed, black and brown people have a bad, unhealthy relationship with cops. But I know plenty of black and brown people who've hit that threshold as far as financing that those things don't even come in their mind because they're tax-paying citizens and they're making money. They're not even thinking
Yo,
of anything.
instead of defunding the police, just fucking divert that money.
That's a fact.
To fucking fix the problem.
That's a fact.
Yo, because, listen, as much as I'd rather not deal with the cops and not have them around or whatever, yo, we need them to fucking be there when situations happen
right,
to protect us and keep us safe.
Because then it's going to become the Wild Wild West where we're going to arm each other. And
It's already the Wild Wild West. And what I wanted to say before you said something, you were saying about robbing somebody for monetary values. And what I wanted to say was right now is worse than the 90s. Because in the 90s, when violence happened and all that crazy shit happened, 9 times out of 10, it wasn't random. It was for monetary value, for some type of come up or something like that. Now, yo, people are just fucking doing crazy shit just for no fucking reason because they're fucking unstable.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's like, there's no prediction to it. Like, you got to walk around with fucking 100 eyes in your head and your shit on the swivel, 360.
Crazy.
It's just fucking bananas, bro.
You could play this clip. So in the same stratosphere of the cost of living, I thought you would find this funny.
It may already feel like it, but now it is official. For the first time, New York is the most expensive city in the world.
No brainer.
I'm sure.
You
You know what I'm saying? Like, we
followed
were
by
just like,
Tokyo,
we always been the
no-brainer.
most
Hong
fucking
Kong,
expensive.
and Los Angeles. Last year, New York was in
Tel
sixth
Aviv,
place.
eh?
The study
Second?
was done by the Economist Intelligence
Tel
Unit.
Aviv's a nice
they factor
place,
in
I've been
rent,
there.
cost of living, and inflation, among other things.
Craziness, right?
I mean, what the fuck you think
Society's
gonna happen?
collapsing. Yeah, right. What do you fuck you think
So,
gonna happen?
in my opinion, right, all of this shit started really, really happening with TV shows, Friends and Sex in the City. People started watching them shows from the Midwest, and thinking that that's how New York was. And it was like, oh, that's great. Let's move to New York City. And these are people that actually have the money to come and move and live
That,
here.
well, this is how neighborhoods flipped over, like
Right.
Williamsburg.
So let me
and,
finish.
Mhm.
So, and then you have Giuliani coming into, and him starting to clean things up. They
Right.
get here, and they're looking at a little bullshit studio that's like $600 a month, and the landlord's looking at it, and before he even gives them a price, they're like, "Oh, this is great, I'll take it," and the fucking landlord's like, "Okay, that'll be $1,500."
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and when they moved to New York, what they thought New York wasn't, but
No.
they had the money to change it into that. Yo, when in your life growing up did you ever fucking order pizza from Papa John's or Domino's or some
Facts.
shit like that? Yo, you went to the fucking
We went,
corner.
we walked up.
You went to the corner and got a
I
pizza.
walked up to L&B and said, "Give me 2 slices."
Yeah, exactly. or
Facts.
or like fucking Walgreens or all these
Little more
chains.
privilege now, right? It goes back to what we said. A little more
like,
privilege.
As a kid growing up, you go in the corner store, you're like, "Yo, Papi, I don't got it today. I need a thing of milk. I'll bring it to you tomorrow." He knows you your whole life. He watched you grow up.
Mhm.
No problem. You imagine going into fucking Walgreens and telling them, "Yo, I'm short 50 cents."
I always say that growing up in
That
Marlboro,
shit destroys the fucking community.
your neighbors were like your family. Now your neighbors are like
Yes,
strangers.
yes.
You know, you used to be able to ask your neighbor for some sugar or something. Now nobody talks, nobody socializes.
Yeah,
They're
e-
trapped
yo,
on their
e-
apps.
Even as a kid, like you doing some dumb shit out in the streets,
Mhm.
an adult would walk by and be like, "Yo, what the fuck you doing? Knock that off."
Mhm.
You had respect to at least stop doing what you were doing until that person walked by, and then you continued the fuckery.
Mhm.
You know, adults looked out for kids, and
Listen,
kids had respect.
It's
Now it's
a sign
just
of the
like-
times, you know. And the last thing I did want to bring up with you, just get your opinion before we're out of here. How do you feel about with the art, the actual art game, and all like the frauds, and because there's a lot of fraudery with art.
When you say fraud, can you define that?
So, someone making, I guess, a copy or a duplicate of what is impersonated as the original.
Now, is that, and I'm not necessarily asking you, but is that, like, the question is this: is that because I was inspired, and this is my way of progressing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, imitation is the best form of flattery.
That's true.
Or are you just hopping on the dick like, "Yo, that sells. If I do that, I'll do the same thing. I could get money." You know what I'm saying? There's like,
Throw it on the auction for $20 million.
yeah.
Because I scratch my head how some of those Bansky pieces, you know, 20 million, 15 million. I'm like,
But, like,
you're buying into like the pop culture and the trend because it's trending now as opposed to the substance of it, probably.
So, like, how long has that been going on? That's probably been going on since the fucking
Right.
the Egyptian times.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm guessing.
That's a fact. It's a,
You know?
again, it's
People aren't stupid. They see what makes money, they hop on that, and then they run with it.
for corporate America, for them, it's almost not even a tax write-off, but it's a way to invest and hide money and kind of, you know, put money on the side.
So, one thing to show you how far back it goes, papyrus.
Mm-hmm.
They're old fucking scrolls or whatever the fuck you call it in Egypt.
Hieroglyphics.
Those shits have been bootlegged since the beginning of time.
That's
Same-
true.
Same exact shit.
You could go right now to the King Tut fucking exhibition and get some photocopies
Yeah.
of some hieroglyphics and
2,000%.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Craziness. So I want to wrap up the interview. I want everyone, when they're tuning in, how do we kind of move forward? What else do we have coming up in the pipeline as far as shows, projects? What can we look forward for?
So sometime in January, most likely toward the end, I'm putting together a show with my man Teo MDC. Shout
Nice.
out to him.
Shout him out.
What's going to be great about this show is more so to showcase him.
Mm-hmm.
And what's extraordinary is he's the type of person that he's not on the internet. He's not someone you have access to. You cannot go to Instagram, YouTube, any of those platforms, buy something from him, access his content. People don't know, but he's an amazing artist outside of graffiti, and he has some fucking pieces that are phenomenal that you would never think that this dude Teo has done.
So we're doing a gallery.
So we're gonna do a show, him and I. But mostly it's the Teo show. I'm helping him put this out there, and I got some new paintings that I'll be working on to exhibit as
Mhm.
well. And then I also have the documentary Pandemic that I'm close to working on. People, please be patient. We all have a life. Right now in this season, my lady does pasteles.
Dope.
The best you will ever have.
Oh, I gotta holler at after
And-
this. Stop playing.
and
No
I-
doubt. Hit her up some coquito
that's
too.
no lie. That's no lie.
Facts.
But as soon as I'm done with that, I'm working on all these things. Maybe February time frame.
Busy.
The viewing will happen. It's all in the works.
Busy.
You know.
And we're gonna talk off camera because for those who've never been to Puerto Rico, let me just tell you, I pop up at little hidden gems and little surfer spots, and who do I see? I see Fillings and Tags. I see my man Ojae.
Yo, I spend
Active and live on the island.
Yo, that's my first home, even though I'm more here in New York.
Facts.
I love Puerto Rico.
Facts.
More than anything else in the world, bro.
And for those that haven't been, let me tell you, bro, the elements are live.
I almost don't even want you to tell them because it's such a great hidden gem and it's being fucking exploited.
It
to
is
the
being
fullest
exploited.
now, and that shit just breaks my heart, bro.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That shit makes me so angry.
But if you've never been, listen, the graph is live, the hip-hop culture, the b-boy culture, and definitely, the surfing culture. There's
But you
another
gotta,
level.
if you really want to enjoy Puerto Rico, you gotta go to the Agua Dia side.
Right.
Like, why you leave New York City to go to New York City, if you know what I'm saying, when you go to San Juan? When you go to San Juan, all you see is fucking tourists running around like when you flip the lights on and roaches come out of everywhere. Like,
Right.
I guess San Juan's a great place for nightlife and party shit like that.
People that, and not to get off course because we're gonna wrap it up, but people that I recommend to go, I think they're really blown away with the surfing culture and the skateboard culture. And
Yes, yes,
both of us, we're big on skating because you
Yes.
mentioned Harrow before. But I will say, when people go, they're like, "Oh shit!" It gives them such a fusion vibe because of that mix of the surfers and all the skaters.
They got their own take on
That's
all
right.
That, on
That's right.
graffiti, skating,
Yep.
fucking music, all of that.
Caribbean living, man. Caribbean
Yes,
living.
the best.
But again, I appreciate you coming up, my brother. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
I'm very
Legendary.
thankful for the opportunity. We're doing projects with great people such as yourself.
Legendary.
Uh,
Glad you got to come up
I'm a
and tell your
grateful
story,
person.
man.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
everyone tuning in. It is the one and only Mr. Tom Brody, episode 13. We're here. You know what it is, man. Cheers to the Real Podcast. Thank you, my brother.
OJ1 FYC out.
Beautiful. I think that was an hour on the nose.
Tom Brody.
A few minutes over.
Yo, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, homie. Hood good, homie. Yeah, baby, you're the hood.
Boy, screaming, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies. Yeah, money was the motive. Hood couldn't hold me. 100K made man suckers looking phony. Yeah, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies.